Hi, everybody. It's been a while since we chatted. It's been a while since I've been on. Hey, yeah. Welcome to, do we call this Saturday Night Live? Would that be it? Or like Saturday, senior day at the live? Because we always do things a little earlier than all the other young, cool hipster chicks and boys, that kind of thing. Silly. Sorry. Hey, welcome to the channel. I'm Darcy from the Purposeful Pantry. In case we haven't met, I'm glad that you're here. And today, let's talk about dehydrating, because that's what we talk about all the time on the channel. So I wasn't able to video last week. We've had some things going on with family that kept me away. And then this whole week has been just incredibly busy with some other things happening. And I could not get my project done. So I thought I'd stop in and kind of sit down and we can have a little Q&A about dehydrating and anything else that you need to talk about, and have a little announcement just happening to happen today too. But let's do some questions first, because you guys come first, then we'll do my thing. So as we get started, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Sharon. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Laura. Hey, Christine. Hey, Pam. Hey, you guys. Welcome to the chat. Let's see. Do we have any questions yet? Those of you telling me that your temperature is below 80 degrees, if even that, I'm just so jealous. We have come through an entire summer of overly hot temperatures for our area. We tend to be over 100 for days on end, starting in July and working their way through August, but ours started really early this year. So we were already in super high temperatures in mid to early June. We've had no rain to speak of until 2 days ago when we finally had about an hour of rain. But so our area is in drought and super high temperatures earlier on than we expected. So our garden is dead. All the grass around us is scorched. The ranchers in Texas have already started selling off their cattle way before time because there's not enough hay and not enough water in the world to help feed them. And so they had to get rid of their cattle early. So think about that down the road. That's going to be a big thing that hits a little later. Cattle's not large enough, it's already going up on the market. So it's going to get a little harder to get, come by on top of what already else is out there. So that's what's happening in our area. So I'm just really, really jealous of those of you in the northwest of the US who get all that rain. Hey guys, let's see who else. Hey Lori, hey Linda, Rosie, Mary, Sylvie Russ, Lynn, Evie, Mary Grott, Rosemary, Michelle, Patty, Kedwin, Vivian, Teresa, Coney, you guys welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, so again, tell me how you're doing. What's in your dehydrator this weekend? Just tell me that. That's what I want to know. What are you drying? Okay. Vivian, isn't that a great site? Sometimes people always tell me it's so pretty, I don't want to touch it. And it's like, you have to touch it. You have to do it. You have to use it. That's what it's there for. That's what you put all the work into, and you can always put it back. It's not like you eat it once and you can never dry it again. Use that stuff. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, all the great weather. Pineapple, greens, my favorite. Will Bendy dehydrated tomatoes automatically cause condensation when conditioning? No, Laura. Okay, here's what happens. Condensation is one of the that is something really didn't dry. What you're going to run into first is either clumping, where things start as that moisture starts expanding and starts spreading around everybody. Things tend to just start clumping, and you can tell it's not when you drop it. It doesn't plink anymore. There's no hardness to it, and then what you'll likely have is mold before you ever actually see condensation. Condensation is if you put it in there really wet, and then the moisture. The air around the jar is also really warm. You're going to see that condensation hit pretty quickly. So you're looking for clumping. You're looking for things getting soft. In the end, you're looking for mold. So if you didn't get it dry enough, put it back in the dehydrator. It's so easy to do. All right. So you know what's going on. Also, in my little world right now, I have a kitty here who is super, super needy today. So she's meowing like crazy. So you may hear her. I'll introduce you. Hold on. Yeah, you're going to do this. See, this is Zoe. This is our baby girl. Well, it's not our baby girl. It's our cat. It's our old cat. She's really old. She's hitting that really old age, and she's super needy today. And now she's going to be mad at me too. And the other thing I was going to say, the cat. Oh, also the big screen where I can read, because even with my glasses, I can't read my laptop very well. I'll be looking up to try to catch your questions. So don't think I'm looking off into the world. Okay, let's see. Patty has cucumbers going. Judy, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. Glad to have you. I'm glad you got started too. That's great that you're loving what you're doing. Let's see. Deborah, when you say that you have all that humidity in the air, even the air conditioning isn't helping, just remember, just dry longer. The humidity just means that stuff coming out of your machine into the air is going to take longer to get there because it's having to compete with the moisture in your house. Just be patient. Just let it dry. Okay. Just let it keep going. It will get there. Oh, somebody's doing potatoes. Adria, I think that's how you might say it. You're very welcome. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of it. I needed to share the same knowledge that was shared with me that I learned so that we can all do this. It's no sense in just holding it on to myself when so many people are trying to learn how to do this, because I remember when I first started, there wasn't much out there. There were a couple of books and that was it. Nobody in my life preserved food at all except for my grandmother, and she was already done and couldn't really share much with me. So it's self-taught, self-learned, and lots of research. So I'm happy to share. Margaret, I've been doing that for the last month and a half. That's the only thing that's been in my dehydrator is grated zucchini, because it's like the season of it. All right. So I might have missed a question or two. And if I haven't answered your question you asked earlier, please write it again in the box so I can catch it. I'm going to go through questions here really quickly. Let's see. Hey, Mandy, how are you? Oh, zucchini chips are just awesome. And, zucchini chips, when they're thicker, are fun to eat and they're great. But I'm telling you, I crave potato chips so often now that I don't eat them anymore. And having those super thin zucchini chips with enough salty kind of things on them are so much like Lay's potato chips. I cannot stop eating them. I cannot eat just one, and they're so great. All right, let's see. Oh, Adria, I'm glad I got it right. Well, thanks, Mary. I'm glad. The Facebook group is an awesome group full of so many people who dehydrate and have so much experience in so many different ways of looking at things. And it's always great to have people to bounce ideas off of, or, this is a problem. Let me ask how the group does it. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Okay. Oh, Mandy, white cheddar seasoning on zucchini chips. I bet that would be awesome. Oh, Buffy, yeah. Isn't it great when you get started? You just want to dehydrate everything. And then you go through a period where it's like, nah, not so much. And then you get into it again. It's like, there is nothing safe in our house. The boys, my kids, and or my men folk, that's what I should say now, because they're grown men. It's always like whatever I bring home, they always look at it and go, so are we going to dehydrate this too? Can we actually eat that? Because is that for you or is that for us? And I'm just like, I don't know. Let's see who gets to it first. Pam, I am in Texas. Can you dehydrate canned tomatoes? Neither, of course, Linda, you can. You can do tomato paste. You can do tomato dice. You can do tomato chunks. You can do the whole tomatoes. You might want to puree those first and make them into a powder. They'll dry better that way, or at least chop them up before you just try to do the whole thing. But you can dehydrate pretty much anything canned already. You can dehydrate. Not all of it turns back into something that you want to eat later. That, like for me, canned mushrooms are just gross and I don't like them at all. And I'm not really fond of canned potatoes dry, but there are other people who like them. So if I find one that I don't like, I just grind it, make it into a powder to add to something. But yeah, anything canned pretty much can be dried. Okay, how thick should zucchini be? Linda, it depends on what you want. If you want really super thin, I do it about 1/8 of an inch, which is 3 millimeters, depending on where you are and what system you use. But generally 1/4 of an inch or thinner, that would work. Let's see, what else? I have pinto beans in the freezer. If I defrost it, so can I still dehydrate them? Mrs. 2, you can, but just know that they are going to break. So what you're going to have, do I have them handy? Let's see, I do have them handy. Just a second. Get back in my chair. if you can see these, I hope you can without the glare. That's what a bean looks like when it's been dried. So it's going to break. Cooked and then frozen, it's going to have broken down that skin. So as you dry it, they'll break up. So they won't be the whole beans that go back into things like you're used to. They're going to be broken up. So you can leave them like that. They'll work just fine. Or you can mash them if you want to do it like a bean mush kind of thing. But yeah, frozen beans will work just fine. Okay, can I dehydrate basil at a higher temperature than 95 degrees? Mine takes forever at 95, which is what my dehydrator says. Susan, you can. The thing is about doing herbs at anything above 100 is that you start losing flavor and you run the risk of browning them even more than you might already have. So 95 is recommended. Air drying is best. But if you want to go a little faster, you can turn it up. But basil always takes forever, and it's just the way it is because it's got so much of that essential oil, and some varieties of it, the skin's a little thicker, so it just takes longer to do. Be patient. Be patient. Let's see. Christine, what is good in nutrition to dehydrate from a green powder? Anything dark leafy green. Anything that you would eat, trying to get all that iron, niacin, and all those other good things that are in dark leafy greens. Those are the things that you put in your green powder, and basically anything. The only thing I don't include in mine is iceberg lettuce because I feel like it's got nothing worth making the effort to dry. Sure, it's got some fiber and there's a couple of little things that are still in there, but there's so little nutrition in it anyway. I don't waste the time on iceberg. I give it to the rabbit or I toss it out for compost. But any dark leafy green, anything, kale, spinach, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, sweet potato leaves, squash leaves, carrot tops, radish tops, all those kind of things. If you can eat it, you can dry it. Oh, Linda, yeah, isn't it hot here? Oh, I can't wait till October, like when we finally get some nicer weather. Let's see, who else has a question? Andrea, okay. Once I start using dehydrated food from a jar and open a lot, is it normal for it to begin to clump? Yes, especially if your home has a lot of humidity or you're opening it over your stove where there's all of the steam coming up from your food. What you generally should do is as you use it, start decreasing the size of your jar because that decreases the amount of moisture that sits there in the jar. You can put that stuff back in the dehydrator, dry it out some more, and repackage it. That's fine to do, okay? But know that if you open it, close it, depending on what kind of food it is, the more moisture you're introducing into the jar, the more moisture that food can absorb. So what I would do, if you live in an area where there's a lot of high humidity, use a moisture absorber on the inside, close your jar up. It takes care of that moisture. It doesn't finish a job, but it helps protect it from moisture coming into it later. So that's a good way to use a moisture absorber for those kind of things. I hope that helped. Okay, let's see. Patty says, I did mini marshmallows a couple of weeks ago after seeing my videos. My kiddos are grown and moved out, but the first thing they go for is when they stop by those marshmallows. I know there's something so cool about that crunch, and it just shatters in your mouth, and it's so different than a regular marshmallow. It's a good crunch, but then it's not hard, and so it's great. Although the first time my husband tried a dried peep, he broke a cap. So we're very careful about marshmallows in this house now. Mary, my first project was sun-dried tomatoes. They didn't even make it to the conditioning stage because my husband and I ate them all. Yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. Judy, yeah, we hadn't had rain in 67 days. Well, okay, I take that back. 67 days for our area. We got 2 days of about 5 minutes of a shower. It would rain for about 5 minutes and then it was gone. And 2 weeks later, we got another 5-minute shower. And then finally 2 days ago, after those 67 days, 2 days ago, we got about an hour of good rain. And it has been such a long time. And with the heat on top of it, it was such a joy to stand out in the rain. I mean, we went out and played in it because it was like, it's raining. It's actual rain, long rain. It's not just a quick shower. All right. Let's see. Christine, there is nothing special to dehydrate herbs. The one thing you don't want to do is when you wash them off, put them right into your dehydrator really wet. Put them out on a towel, let them dry off some, put them through a salad spinner, pat them down with a towel. Some of those can actually react to being too wet, and being put in that environment can actually turn brown faster than they might have normally. So dry them off a little bit before you put them in. I tend to like to put most of my herbs in there on the stem already and just de-stem after. But if they're really big leaves, I'll go ahead and do them. Just strip them first. Let's see. Esther, what kind of chicken are you trying to rehydrate? If you're doing just like raw chicken that you cook and then put in and rehydrate it, it doesn't work as well. Pressure canned or commercially canned chicken works better, or boiling it or putting it in the Instant Pot and cooking it that way, because it breaks down some of those chicken fibers more than if you just cook it and dry it. So try that version instead, and you might like how it comes back later. Okay. Buffy just bought a dozen pints of blueberries for 99 cents a piece, and that's awesome. Blackberries? Blackberries. Yeah, that is awesome. Let's see. Besides Skittles and marshmallows, is there any other candy that's safe to dehydrate? You don't dehydrate Skittles. That's freeze-dried. You can dehydrate cranberry sauce, like the jelly cranberry sauce, and make little gummies. Those are good. There aren't a lot of candies that are worth drying, but doing cookies and cakes and even donuts you can dry, and they come out like biscotti. So they're not like the typical Italian biscotti, but when you dry them out, they have this airy texture to them that are like, it's kind of like a DIY biscotti without having to do all the work, because you just buy it already done. But most candies in general don't dehydrate. Okay, let's see what else. I'm going to make jelly because I'm getting ready for a pop-up in December. Oh, we'll have fun, Rosie. Oh, Linda, I'm sorry that you guys still haven't gotten rain yet. We live in an area where we always laugh about the bubble that's around us, so we can watch it just come in and just kind of do this around us, and then rain all the way here, and then never. So that night was just, it was amazing to actually get it. Mary says, once a green powder has been conditioned, can I keep adding to the jar with additional green powder until I have a full jar? Yeah, you can. I give it about powders. Typically, if I add to a jar, I give myself about a 6-month limit, because things have been in there for a while and will have a different moisture level than if you just dry them. So I tend to use things quickly, or just go ahead and add a second jar. But if I'm adding them within a month or two, yeah, you can just keep going, just keep adding to it. It's fine. Just make sure everything is all safe and dry. Laura, you can dehydrate any fruit together. You can dehydrate any vegetable together. You can dehydrate all the aromatics together, like all the onions, peppers, garlic, all that kind of stuff. What you're wanting to do mostly is dehydrate things that need drastically different temperatures. And typically you don't want to do the aromatics with lighter things, because they could transfer, and you always want to do meat separately. So yeah, you can dehydrate those things together. It's not going to bother them at all. Let's see, who else? Let's see. Oh, Susan, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it a lot. Oh, is Lisa here? Do I see Lisa? Hey, Lisa from Sutton's Days. You guys, I can't tell you, Lisa is the reason why I'm here. And Lisa is the reason why so many things happen for me right now. She's the one who's been kicking my butt about getting stuff done. She's been a big cheerleader, and I really appreciate her so very, very much. I always I don't know if you guys noticed, and I hadn't said anything about it really. I did one little announcement, but I happened to pass 100,000 subscribers about 2 weeks ago. And I had to always thank Lisa first, because if it weren't for Lisa, I wouldn't even have a channel, because I was toying with it in the beginning, and she just kept on me about starting a channel. So thank you. You know how much I love you. Okay, can I dehydrate whole frozen strawberries? Buffy, you can, except I would really recommend that you cut them down if you can. Let them thaw, cut them, because they will take a really long time to dry. You're going to run into something called case hardening, which is when the outside dries so much faster than the inside, and the moisture can't get out. Then things don't dry on the inside. You think it's dry, and then it molds. So while it's not likely to happen, it can happen, and it will just take so much longer. You want to go ahead and do that. Thank you, Sir Adamantine. That's how you say your name. I really appreciate it. You can never, ever, ever over dry your tomato slices. Debbie, what you might have run into, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but tomato slices can actually turn brown. That's not over drying, that's overheating. Or it's just the fact that your tomatoes have a ton of sugar in them, and that's how sugar reacts to heat. It just starts to brown up. Doesn't mean that they're burned. It just means those sugars got a tan, sort of, but without the sun, without the radiation, they just got a tan. So you can't over dry them. Okay. You can over dry them with heat, like you can do them too hot. And if you find that your tomatoes tend to turn brown and you don't want that, just turn the temperature down a little bit. It'll be fine. It takes a little longer, but that's how you can stop that. Okay. Oh, Buffy, that's a great price for jalapenos and limes. I did, Lisa. I did just call you a nag not too long ago because you were nagging me, but you were right. Lisa's wonderful. If I need to know canning stuff, well, gosh, if I need to know a lot of stuff, I go to Lisa. She's been a great friend. Do greens lose much nutritional value when dehydrated? Thanks for all my help. Well, Sharon, you're welcome. Any food that goes into a dehydrator is always going to lose a little bit of vitamin A and vitamin C. And there's a 1B vitamin, I can't remember what the number, that tends to be a little heat sensitive. So the longer that you leave it in a dehydrator and the higher temperature that you dehydrate it, you lose more and more of those. But typically for all dehydrated foods, okay, almost all of them, you lose very little. It's only A and C and a little bit of B, but for the most part, you keep everything else. If you dry it too high and you dry it really hot, then yeah, you're going to lose more. The thing is that any of those greens that you're already going to cook, and this goes for any dehydrated food that you have, the little bit that you lose during drying is nothing compared to what you're going to lose when you cook it. Okay, you're going to lose more when you cook. So don't think about dehydrating as being this thing where you're going to lose a ton of nutrients. You're not. You lose a little. You lose a little bit more than if you freeze dried it. You don't lose as much as if you're canning, and you don't lose as much as if you cook it. So just think of it that way. You don't lose all that much. If you choose to blanch it first, because a lot of people will choose to blanch to stop any kind of bacterial issues, and they do it to help break down the fibers, and it also stops the oxalic acid. That's the thing that makes it a little harder for us to absorb all the nutrients within greens, where you can eat some greens raw. And you can eat them cooked. The thing is, you don't want to eat a lot of raw greens all the time forever. You want to mix it up. But when you're dehydrating, you're adding that thing into other things. Most of the time you cook it, so it takes care of that in the beginning. So those are the things that happen with the nutrition with greens. So you're good to go. Just dry them. Now, if you want to keep all the nutrients of anything that you dry, start drying them below 115 F, because I never remember this number. It is 115 46C. The 46C is the one I can never ever remember, and I always have to go find my magnet and go do it. Dry below that, and you will keep all the nutrients. Okay, let me back up because that was a long, drawn out question or answer. Thanks, Carly. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mary, and thank you everybody else for the congratulations. I really appreciate it. Montana Patriot, yeah. Let's see. JB for the Fortney. Okay, sorry. Yes, the blueberries, you just have to let them soak until you're happy with how they come out. I tend to let things soak overnight, so I'll put them in the evening, let it soak, and pull them out the next morning so that they're always ready to go. So you can let them rehydrate for an hour. You can do it for 2 hours. Just give them time until you're ready for them. Thanks, Rosemary. Buffy, I don't have one on bone broth itself, but I do have one on doing vegetable broth, which is basically the same process. The only thing that you do when doing a bone broth is that after you've made your broth, you need to defat it. So put it in the refrigerator, skim the fat off the top, and then dry what's left. Thanks, Elaine. We're about to talk about that. Okay, Lori, any tomato that you dry has to be fully dry. If you don't fully dry it, it needs to be put in the refrigerator. So it's up to you. If you like to keep it with a softer texture, then you need to keep it in the refrigerator. If you want to fully dry it to put it on the shelf, then you need to have them fully dried. The only issue is oil. And I know that there's a thing out there about it that it's okay, but we go by the NCHFP, the safety standards for food in our country, in the US, and they recommend never ever storing your tomatoes in oil on the shelf for any period of time. Put it in the refrigerator for about 4 days and you're going to be fine. Let's see. Pam, Lisa's site is Sutton's Days. It's Sutton's Days here on YouTube and Sutton's Days at her website. SUTTONS Days, DAZE. Thanks, Carly. Patty, I know, isn't it everybody? Yes, the one whom Jesus loves. Yep, you can dehydrate broth. Just look up the vegetable one. I kind of walk through the process. You can apply it to any kind of broth. Onion broth, meat broth, chicken broth, whatever kind you make, you can do. Carly, I don't blanch the microwave, but yes, you can. Okay, other fruits and hot peppers at the same time. Dana, you can dehydrate peppers with other things. You just have to be careful about temperatures because you don't want to like have herbs and peppers going at the same time if you want that low heat versus high heat. But if you want to do them all at the same time, just drop the heat. It'll take the peppers a little, the peppers will take a little longer, but it's fine. Most of the time, you're never going to run into an issue of those things getting the heat from the peppers, but we kind of say don't do it just in case, because that way you'd never have to run into the issue that it does happen, but likely it's not going to. Okay, can I use sweet potatoes to make chips like done with zucchini? Christine, you can. The thing about sweet potatoes, they're hard and dense and fibrous. So you want to cook them first, like bake them in the oven until just barely the fork goes in. You don't want them soft. You want them just enough. Then put them in the refrigerator overnight. Let them firm up. Then slice them to make into your chips. That's the best way. Or you can slice them raw and then blanch them and do it that way. They aren't going to be as crisp because they are dense and fibrous and they're not fried, so they don't have that same crisp, but you can do them. Thanks, Pam. I welcome you to the channel. Oh, Buffy, you wait till you see what I've got. I've got some smoking things happening for next week that we did this past weekend. I am so obsessed with smoking all of this stuff now. How long does chicken broth store for, Rosemary? I'm sorry, is it Rosemary or Rosemary? Not sure. Chicken broth should be optimally stored in their freezer because the transfer of the fat that might still be in there that can turn rancid over time. But some people do it because it makes it easy for backpacking and hiking trips and things like that. So storing it in the freezer is optimal. I can't tell you how long it's going to last on the shelf because your mileage will vary depending on the heat, how much fat was left in there. All those kind of things can make it a problem. Let's see. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, you can. In fact, you can. She's asking about dehydrating broccoli, and if you powder it, can you make soup from it? All right, so I think I answered most of the questions. I kind of caught up. If I didn't catch yours, please leave it again down at the bottom so I can catch it. But I have a very exciting announcement to make. Some of you guys who've been on YouTube have kind of heard about this a couple of times. If you're in my Facebook group, you hear about it, that I've been working on this for a very long time. So a little story to get this started. Last year, a publisher approached me about writing a dehydrating book. And after some back and forth, we were kind of coming at odds about the book that I wanted to write and the book that they wanted. And they were unwilling to listen to anything I had to say about how I would like for a book that I have my name on to be. And there were some other issues. And eventually I just turned the contract down because it's like, I don't want to write the book that they want because one, there are already so many great dehydrating books out on the market. And it doesn't, we don't need another one of those. Even with my name on it, it won't be any different than anyone else's. And I had this dream and this vision about what I wanted to see in a dehydrating book. And today it came to fruition. So I have now, this is the Dehydrating Basics and Journal for Beginners and Beyond. I know that doesn't say that here, but there's some things, that go on with this. This is available in an ebook. It's available in a spiral book, and it's available as a regular paperback. But what it is a book on how to dehydrate. So the first portion of the book is, and you're going to see my edit pages that I had to go and edit while I did. All of the very first pages are how to dehydrate, the actual act of dehydrating. Tons and tons of information about what you need to know about what you do with the foods that you store, how you dry things, tons of places to take notes and all that information. And then the cool part are all the how-tos. So there are 115 or 118 of these pages that are specific food how-tos. But what they also give you is the instructions on how to do it, notes for you to take, information at the top for you to know. Down here are some tips on how to store it, how to serve it, how to use it. And then at the very bottom is a place for you to write your yields. So a lot of times I can tell you that 1 cup of fresh equals 1/4 cup of dried equals 1 tablespoon of powder. But your yields may vary, and you may need to do by weight instead of by volume because of what you're doing it for. So this is a way for you to record your very specific things that you might need. So there's the vegetables, herbs, fruits, and then we have a section here on all the other kind of things you can dry: marshmallows, biscotti, salsa, stock, maraschino cherries, all those other kind of fun things that you can do. There are those. And this very last section, not a ton of them, but I have some recipes. So this book has been a year in the making. Lots of angst about it, but I am really, really proud of it. So what I did is that this is the ebook version. So I took it to Staples and they had them printed off for me, and then I put it in a binder. Also included in those files is going to be like this little printable spine that you can put on one of these viewable binders like this. That way you can make a binder that you can expand on your own. I don't have a copy of the hardcover. I'm at the spiral book and the paperback because, like you guys, I have to wait for the printer to actually send them to me, so I don't have them yet, but they're out there. I've got a link in the description box below. Oh, Lisa, thank you very much. She's putting the link for me there too. Thanks, Lisa. That it's available on the website now, so you can order any of them. And what's cool is what I did was I did the whole book, like the dehydrating how-to plus the journal together. And then for those of you who don't need the beginning stuff, like you've got it down, you don't need any of that, the journal is sold separately. So you can have just the journal. So you can do the same kind of thing, but without all that how-to stuff. So it's the journal plus the recipes at the end. So this has been like, really seriously, guys, it's been a year in the making. I've been able to write on it for a while, then stuff would happen with life and I couldn't get to it. Then I would start writing on it for a while. And then, you know, it was just this kind of ebb and flow of what would happen. And I finally got it finished. I finally got it up. And it was just like, 3 hours ago when it finally went live. So I'm so excited about it. And I want to say thanks to all of you, not only for your support, because you guys have been an inspiration about all the things that you've taught me along the way, but your encouragement to get this written, also coming from you, asking for it and nagging me for it. There, some of you guys know who you are, who have been asking very faithfully, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? It's done. It's here. All right. Whew. That was fast. That was a lot of stuff. So I was excited because I'm really glad it's out. Okay, so back to some questions. And guys, thank you. I've been seeing the stuff pop up there, congratulating me, and I just want to say thank you very much. All right, so questions. Do we have any more? And Lisa, thanks again. You know what? Even the one whom Jesus loves, even for me, it was great to write this stuff because while I can answer a lot of questions, to have to sit and type it all out and come up with all of the questions that people have and make sure that I kind of went through the whole process, it was a great refresher for me because things that I either skip or, you know, just glaze over because I'm so used to doing it. It was great for me to have a refresher about this is exactly what you should do. And a couple of things that I went, oh gosh, how long has it been since I did that? I probably should start doing that part again. So it's a great refresher, if nothing else, even if you've been doing this for a while. Let's see, Grantee, if you dehydrate any herb over 115F, that means if you put it into the section where it starts depleting nutrients, then yes, you will lose the medicinal value. Dry it as low as you can. 95F, 35C is preferred, or air dry it if you can air dry it. I have a dehydrator that actually has an air only function on it. So that's what I pull out when I'm having to do a lot of them because it just dries with just the fan. But you want to keep it under that raw setting. So it's anything below 115, 46C. Adria, yeah, you can use it with your iPad. That is a great way to do it because the PDFs will work that way too. So I wish that it would work on any other things like that. But an iPad, yeah, you can take your own notes and it would save that way. Yes, Melody, yeah, you can do cantaloupe just like you do watermelon. Slice it up. You want to slice it a little thinner than you do watermelon because watermelon is so water infused, and when it breaks down, it gets really thin. Cantaloupe, you don't want to start as thick as it is, and it will dry. Just do some thin slices, and it's great. It's kind of like candy, like watermelon is. And somebody asked, I think earlier, I think I remember somebody asking if you could do watermelon and cantaloupe together, and yeah, you can. I'm not ignoring anybody. I may be missing it. All right, Lisa, what'd you say? Because now I have to go look. No. She'll tell me later. GD, I never ignore Lisa. I know better. But I miss it because that stuff just starts scrolling by so fast I can't see it all. And when I start blubbering, yeah, then I'm not going to see it. Thank you, JDB Fortney. I appreciate it. And thank you guys all. I really, really do appreciate it. Let's see what else. Can you mix vegetable powders when storing, or is it best not to? I don't store individual vegetable powders for the most part. Mine are all in one big, huge bottle that I use in everything that I cook. So I put them all in together. What you don't want to do is a vegetable powder that you don't want to taste. So, or that you don't want to taste. So you don't want to make a vegetable powder that's almost all broccoli and then just a little of other things, because your powder is going to taste pretty heavily of broccoli because it's a pretty strong flavor. But if you do ratios correctly, like you just kind of blend them all equally, vegetable powder can be pretty neutral in flavor. So you don't want to put so much into it that you get that flavor of something that's really, really strong, if that makes sense. But yeah, mix them all up, girl. Do what you need to do. How thick do you cut apples for making apple chips? I can't get them crispy. Scott, you need to cook them, like a quarter inch or smaller, and then give them time. They need that time. So if you think you're done and they're not really crispy, give them more time. That's the thing probably that most people fail with in dehydrating, is the fact that they don't give things enough time. That you just have to learn how to be patient, and they will get there eventually. Now, what some people will do is dry them good and dry, and then get them just to the point where they're almost done, and then put them in the oven. And because that last little bit, you've already, you just get that extra little heat that can crisp them up some, but you have to be really careful not to burn them. But that's something that some people do to make that work. Let's see, what else? Oh, Joni, the Kasori's great. I mean, it's like this little pet of mine now that when I first got it, I kept thinking this is kind of small and how is it going to work? And I have loved that thing to death, completely. I love it. It's great. It's like a great all around dehydrator for most people. And I will never give that thing up. What thoughts about tomato powder should I have? It's her adamantine. Tomato powder is a bomb. It is so versatile. You can make ketchup with it. You can make spaghetti sauce with it. You can make tomato paste with it. You can put it on a bagel pizza without actually having the tomatoes, but you have the powder on. You can do so many things with it. It's worth doing all the time. I tend to once a year go buy one of those big number 10 cans of tomato paste. Like the last 2 years, I've only been able to get the small ones and just do them. But I go buy it by the bulk, and we'll dry that and have tomato powder all year long. Because it's easier for me. I don't have easy access to a ton of tomatoes that aren't store-bought tomatoes. So I just go straight for the paste and just do it straight from there. Can you dehydrate Swedish fish? No. You can probably freeze dry them, though. I think they might work well freeze dried. I've never done it, but they might work. Yeah, same for watermelon, Scott. It works the same. Let's see. Buffy, just know not everybody's a prepper. Okay, so a lot of us will preserve, but not necessarily call ourselves preppers. But then there's those of us who call themselves like crazy preppers all the time. But yeah, I love this like-minded idea about preserving food and having it on the shelf and ready for anything. All righty. Yep, Sherilyn, you can dehydrate tomato sauce. Okay, I just go for the paste because I can get so much more of it. It's cheaper than sauce, and I don't have to I don't have to get the sauce to, I don't have to simmer it to make it a little thicker because it works better that way. Paste is just easy. You dry it like a fruit leather. I don't care about trying to make a fruit leather out of it. I want it a little crispier because I need to store it that way. But yeah, you can do tomato sauce, tomato paste, because tomato paste is just a thicker tomato sauce that's been simmered a little longer. So that's basically all it is. So yeah, you can do sauce too. Let's see. If I'm using whole tomatoes, do you prefer Roma paste or the larger slicers? Coney, it doesn't matter. If you're going for powder, use whatever you've got on hand. If you're going for things to put in your pantry to use in cooking later, go with the one that you find that you use the most. It does not matter. All right. Does my book tell how long each item will last for approximately? Yes, it does. It does. But you know what? That kind of time is always going to be dependent on so many factors. The NCHFP, the safety standards we follow for dehydrating as well as canning, will give you about 18 months as the safe liability answer. About that point, things can start to degrade. So you can have some things like fruits and tomatoes that don't last as long as other things. So what I give you in the book is a good round answer for each category. It's not going to be for each food specifically. Like vegetables are about 2 years or longer. Fruit, yeah, about a year to 2 years, that kind of thing. But your mileage may vary. You may have things that last for 5 years. And know that at that point, you might have started to lose some of the texture quality and nutrients. But yeah, they'll last that long. And some things may only give you a year. So kind of have the idea of those things and then just rotate through accordingly. No, Kelly, you're right on time. Can you dry canned vegetables that are about to expire? Those vegetables, if you're going by the date that's on the can, are not about to expire. That is a best used by date. That is not an expiration date. Expiration dates are left only for things that need to be refrigerated, like eggs, cheese, mayonnaise, meats, those kind of things. What comes canned, that date means this is the peak, which means it came up to this point and they need to rotate it out through the stores. And that from here on out, you're still, you're just starting on the decline. So you've got all this time to still use it. So know that those dates are never expiration dates. They're just, use it by this date and you're good. But then you've got another year, 2, 3 years sometimes down the way. But yes, you can dehydrate canned vegetables. You'll want to try them all out before you go invest in a bunch or try to do everything that you have, because some things don't come back well. I prefer not to do canned mushrooms dehydrated because I don't think they taste good. Let's see what else. Oh, Grand T, get your dehydrator out right now. You got to run it for about 30 minutes. Go through that cycle at the highest temperature and let it run, wipe it out, then get started. Dehydrated peeps, Becca? Yeah. We find that we like them better than fresh, except for my husband. Okay, Buffy, I'm going to tell you the thing about eggs. NCHFP, the safety standard that we follow for preserving foods here in the States, recommends that you don't do eggs because there's the risk of salmonella issues, other bacterial things. You're leaving raw eggs in your dehydrator, which tend to be cyclical in the way they dry. It's not just a steady, constant heat. So that means they can dip down into unsafe temperatures at times. They recommend not doing them at all, period. If you're going to do them cooked so that you can have scrambled eggs available all the time, and they're best stored in the freezer. Make sure that you dry them at 165F after they've been fully cooked to stay the safest. What you do in your home is your choice and your responsibility, quoteth Lisa Sutton from Sentence Days. That's her phrase that I just love because it's so on point. But and if you raise your own chickens, you don't necessarily have the same salmonella issues that people who buy eggs from the store would have. So it's going to totally be up to you. I prefer to go ahead and buy freeze-dried because I think that they're safer. I'm safer with them. I don't have to worry. They're the one thing I don't dry because it's not worth it to me for our house. Okay. Sir Adamantine, is a freeze-dried worth it? Yes, depending. Okay. They are a lot of work to maintain. They're really expensive. They can do more than dehydrating does, and they can give you a better quality in some things. But if you're not ready to spend that kind of money, if you don't think that you're going to preserve that much food over the long haul, it might not be worth it to you. The maintenance on them is kind of big. You have to do a lot of maintenance for them. And depending on your age, can you really invest that much and then get that much dry and eat it over time? That can play into it too, whether or not you think it's worth it. If I had space in my home to have one, which I do not right now, I have no space to put it, I would really consider it. But again, it's really expensive, and I know the upkeep on it is something that I'm not going to do well. So it's not in my benefit right now to get one, but it may be for you. So you have to just go research to see if it's something that you think that you will get the most benefit from for spending that kind of money on it. Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it so much. Go say hi to the chickens. Let's see. Try to catch all the other ones. Can I reuse grocery store Mallard bags? And if so, how? As long as you dry them well, wash them well, dry them well. They didn't have oil. Yes, you can reuse them. But get them dry and get them clean. All right. Mushroom powder is one of my favorite things to make. Oh, I was trying to catch up on a question. If you juice a watermelon, how would I dehydrate the pulp off? You just spread it on your tray and dry it. It'll be sticky and it might make a good powder, but it's not a powder that's going to store well because it's all sugar and fiber, and so it can get really sticky. Or you can spread it out and just break off pieces to eat those pieces. We are actually a family who prefers kind of crunchy fruit leather rather than the soft stuff. So that would be kind of fun to have, crunchy little watermelon snacks. Let's see. Linda asked, what do you use mushroom powder for? There are a couple things. In the book, I have a recipe for this mushroom umami seasoning that can be put on meat, can be put on vegetables, it can be put on anything. It is so, so good. But just regular powder, you would use it to flavor things like you would if you were putting whole mushrooms in. Mushroom has this deeper, meaty flavor that can just bring a depth of flavor to anything that you cook. And for those of us who don't like dehydrated mushrooms that have been rehydrated, they're kind of chewy and not necessarily great texture for us, but we love that flavor. The powder is the way to go. We go through so much mushroom powder. All right, let's see. Any other questions? Well, let's go with them. I miss dehydrating. The last few weeks in our life have been terribly crazy. I've been working on a ton of zucchini because I had a big project to do and it kind of got put off. But it's coming. I will get there. I will get it finished. I couldn't get it done for today. The book kind of took over my life for the last 2 weeks, as well as some stuff with our family, some extended family stuff. But it's coming. But I just miss dehydrating. I haven't really been able to do it because the zucchini has taken over, or I had the book to do, or I was out of town all the time. So I cannot wait to get back into the kitchen to start drying more stuff because I'm kind of behind this year. We had no garden. I haven't been shopping the way I needed to, and I've had so much going on. I can't get everything done. So I'm really behind. So I got to get busy. And I'm one of those people who do have to buy most of the stuff that I dry right now because we just haven't had a garden in a few years that's enough to feed us plus be able to preserve at all like these last 2 years. So I need to get busy. Let's see. Let me get a quick drink. Michelle, hold on. Patience, Padawan. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know why I say that. Basil can take forever. Dried zucchinis, depending on how thick you did them, can take forever. Remember, you need to let things dry. But the thing to do after is when you think they're dry, take them out and let them cool off. Once they're cooled, then you test them. You don't test them right off the tray because when they're warm, they're still going to be kind of soft and pliable. So never test anything right off the tray. Give it some time to maybe 10 minutes. You don't even need that long for most things. Marshmallows, one of the few things that you actually need to leave out for about 15 minutes before you test it. But for everything else, give it a few minutes to cool off, then test it. You might find that things aren't taking so long to dry as you think because you might be testing them incorrectly. Might not be. You might be doing it just fine. But that's one tip to help with that. The other is cut them a little thinner. And if you're doing it for soups and stews and food that way, consider doing dices, like the cubes. That might work better for you as well. But it also will depend on the power of your dehydrator and the humidity in your home. So if you have a dehydrator that is 200 to 350 watts, it will take you much longer to dry than one that's twice that power. And that's what most of the times, if anybody tells you a time, they're based off the 600 to 1,000 watt dehydrators, not those really smaller ones that don't do as much. So the time is going to be the time when your dryer gets finished, not what anybody says. Okay. Beet greens, do them. Let's see, what else? Thanks for the tip on the gloves, by the way. Saved me from slicing myself. Yeah. Do I have them handy? I do not. I thought I just saw them because I had to move them this week when I was doing stuff, and I don't. And they're not handy. When you're using a mandolin, when you're using a knife, when you're using a slicer, there is a glove that you should wear, no matter if you're using that guard or not, because your hands get slick and wet from doing foods, and your hand can slip really easily. But they are chainmail gloves, so they look like chainmail. They're not really that heavy, but they look like chainmail. Do not use the fabric ones because they do not work. I came really close to taking off the tip of my finger a few years ago because that fabric glove gave out right at the wrong moment. And I was so thankful that it was a little too big for me and took the tip of the glove off and not my finger, because if they had fit perfectly, I would have lost my pinky or at least damaged myself pretty well. So do the chainmail. There are some other people use like the gloves that you can use for grilling. I'm cautious about those, especially if they're silicone based, because that silicone will cut. Trust me, it cuts, and you can lose an appendage that way, or at least a part of one. And so it's no fun. A few of our cucumbers are too big. Should I remove the seeds before dehydrating them? Granty, it depends on how you're going to use them later. What are you going to do with them? If you're going to make chips out of them, no, you don't need to. You can, and then just cut them in half and do half-size chips. If you're going to do cubes or anything like that to make powder, you don't need to, because those seeds will incorporate into the powder. Now, some people might find them a little bitter. And if you do, then de-seed them and just go along with your day and don't worry about it. I don't bother, but I tend to use English cucumbers more than I use, big slicers, those really big, huge slicers. And so I don't have the same issue with seeds, but seeds, they're seeds. Hey, is that girl next door? Girl next doorable. Okay, I get that now. Now, I've seen you respond to a lot of things, and I responded back to you, but I didn't ever read your name until just then when I had to say it out loud. So, hey, how are you? Oh, Judy, yes. With if you're using that glove with a regular box grater, you will save the knuckles. It works so well. Although with zucchini, one of the tricks I'll have in the video that's coming up, when you're grating zucchini for things, don't cut off that end. Use the end to hold it, to grate it down. So when you get to the point where your fingers are about to hit the grater, you've got the tip, and you just throw that away, okay? Or do whatever you do with it. Give it to the rabbit, throw it in compost. But that's a great way to do it without worrying about slicing your fingers. People cut those off first and then grate. And it's like, no, don't do that. Keep that part on. You want that. But yeah, if for the box cutter, when I'm making these, like I have this little dehydrating checklist that is a laminated checklist. When I'm making these, I have to use a big guillotine kind of cutter for it. And I am the biggest klutz in the world. And I'm always wanting to put my glove on when I'm doing the chopping, because I'm afraid I'm going to take one of those fingers off. The dash mandolin is great, except it's not always the perfect thing. Sometimes a mandolin just works better. I like them both. It took me a while to really get into the dash, to find out where it works for me, where it doesn't. But it's not the perfect tool for all the things. So I still tend to lean towards a mandolin, but the dash works really well too. And no matter what they say, when you're having to clean that thing, you're still exposing yourself to that blade. So put a glove on. You need a glove. Get some protection. Let's see. Have I ever made any of your fruit or beef powder into gummies? No, Kelly, I haven't, because no, I haven't. Chainmail glove. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's not real chainmail. It just looks like it. So it's a fiber / it's not metal, but it's a good dense thing that's better than fabric. Cucumbers are great. Cucumbers work like zucchini chips, and then you can make zucchini flour to add to ranch dressing, to make cucumber ranch dressing. You can use cucumber flour to make tzatziki sauce. You can. It's so versatile. And people don't think about it that way. They think you either eat it in a little salad or you dip it with some ranch dressing and that's all you can do with it. But there's so much more that can be done with cucumbers. Hey, Diana, it's great to have you here. No matter what time, you're not late. You're here. It's a perfect time. Let's see. If using frozen broccoli florets, do you need to cut them up? It depends on how big they are, Becca. If they are really big florets, you'll want to cut them up. They will just dry better and they will rehydrate better and they will taste better in whatever you put them in. Just because that big bite is not necessarily the greatest thing ever. So what I would do, if it were me, I would throw them in there, let them thaw a little bit, pull the big ones out, cut them. Or you can, if you can cut them frozen, do that, or let them thaw for a little while, then cut them, then put them on your dehydrator. You can do any of those things. Any of them will work. But if they're good size, then I would go ahead and cut some of them down. Let's see. Do I have the chainmail glove in your Amazon storefront? I sure do. It is there. But it's a meat slicing glove. I think that's what it's called most of the time, is a meat slicing glove. I shied away from cucumbers, wasn't sure how to use those besides in a salad dressing. Well, Judy, get busy with it. You can use it to create seasonings. You can put it in your salad dressings. You can do like tzatziki sauce, making the powder base for that. Instead of having the actual shreds, you can do it from powder and do the same kind of flavor without the texture, because some people don't like that texture. I'm trying to think of other ways to use it off the top of my head. I'm sure there are many other ways. I just can't think of one right now because now I'm having to say it. It's like brain block. I dehydrated the skins from the tomatoes I canned. Sharon, that is actually where tomato powder probably came from originally, was trying to find some way to use those skins up instead of just throwing them away. They've got a more intense flavor than if you do a whole tomato. So yes, that's how you do it. Make tomato powder out of those skins. Let's see. Yeah, 4-day homestead. Cucumber powder is so overlooked. It's really great. And, even just elevating a regular salad dressing makes it just have that extra flavor to it. It's really, really good. And you'll see that when you go to the store, cucumber ranch dressing is a thing. So make it yourself because it's so easy. Sorry. Okay. I need to wrap up. So for those of you who stayed to the end, I wasn't going to announce this because I didn't want a bunch of people coming in and just leaving right away. I appreciate you here. I appreciate you guys so very much. So what I want to do is I'm going to give away 5 copies of the Dehydrating Basics and Journal, the ebook version, because that's the one I can give away. I'm going to give away 5 copies. Even if you've already bought it, you can give it to some friends that you need, or if you have the book, the ebook can be handy to print out the extras if you need them, or better yet, hand it off to somebody who needs to learn how to dehydrate. So I'm going to give away 5 copies. And how best to do this, because I didn't think this part through. I just thought I'm going to give them away. And of course, if you really, really have no need for the ebook, you don't have somebody that you can give it to, you don't really have need for yourself, you can exchange the ebook for a dehydrating magnet if you don't have one, and I will ship that to you instead. So if you are a winner, you're going to email me at thepurposefulpantry@gmail.com. Make sure you give me your handle on YouTube and your name, and and your address if you would prefer the magnet instead of the ebook. Okay, are we ready? Okay, here we go. We're going to do this in speed. 5 rounds of quick speed this last minute, okay? So I'm thinking of a number, and I'm going to write it down right here. Between 1 and 40. The first person who gets a number is going to win the first book. So go. Okay? We want a number between 1 and 40. The first person I see on my feed, however it shows to me, is going to be the person who gets it first. Because sometimes you see a feed that's a little different than mine. We're going to go with the first one that I can see. We're not there yet. Not there yet. Really close. A couple of you are like just 1 digit off. Between 1 and 40. Oh, so close. You guys are just like right on either side of it. And nobody said it yet, but it's like all the numbers right on either side. First one between 1 and 40. We're not there yet. Good try there. Oh man. Nope, nobody's gotten it yet that I've seen. Let me go back and just double check. Nope, not yet. So close. Too bad that you can't just scroll up and kind of see, but it would by the time you scroll back, somebody would have already gotten it. But no, nobody's gotten it yet. Ah, there we go. RM. Who are you? RM RM exclamation point. You got it. Okay. So email me at thepurposefulpantry@gmail.com. Tell me if you want the ebook or if you want a magnet. I will get either of those to you. Just let me know which one you would like. Provide your address if you would like the magnet. All right. It was 31. So you know. It was RM. Put his or her name down. I don't know why I assumed that was a dude, but it could have been. Well, again, Isabel, you could have said it, but I didn't see it in the scrolling. It wasn't there. So sometimes they aren't always in order. So as I saw, that's the first one that I saw come through the thing. All right, let's see. The next one. Stop guessing at this point. We're not taking any more guesses here. I want to know if you know what my favorite thing to dehydrate is. A lot of you have heard it. So some of you, if you've been around the channel for a while, you should know what that is. But tell me what my favorite thing to dehydrate is, and go. Oh, Christine, the first thing off the bat. We're done. Greens. And it's not because they're my favorite and I like them. They taste better than anything else. It's because they're so versatile and I do so many of them and they're so, so incredibly easy to do. So Christine, you need to email me with your choice of prize, the ebook or the magnet. Provide me with your address if you want the magnet. Okay. All right. So a very famous video, not famous. Why did I say famous? A very popular video on my channel are 5 things I love to dehydrate and 5 things I do not like to dehydrate. Okay. That I will probably never dehydrate again. Although it's not true because a couple of those I have to do for tutorials, but they won't be for our family. They will be because I need to do them, not because we like them. But there was one thing in particular that I was pretty adamant about why I will not dehydrate that again. How many of you have seen that and how many of you remember what it is? So we're going to go with this one and see if anybody can remember and go. And Terry, it's so close. It's so close. That will be my second one just because we don't like them, but that's not the first one. The first one. Oh, my husband. All right. Eggs are not it. I don't do eggs because I don't want to risk it. And avocados are not it because they just taste awful. But it's something I've done and I hated. Can you can fruit and pineapple? Sure. Yeah, you can can both. Look at the National Center for Home Food Preservation. They've got all of the steps for you right there. Mushroom, no. Grapes. No, you haven't hit it yet. Liver, Mary Grant or Mary Grot. You got it. It's liver. Gross. Just gross. Liver, never ever again. I don't care how much the dogs want it. They're never, not doing that one ever again. All right. Congratulations, Mary. Again, email me at thepurposefulpantry@gmail.com with the ebook or the magnet, and then provide your mailing address if you want the magnet. Yeah, Buffy, that's what I think about liver. It is so disgusting. It stinks and it's just gross and it will never, I don't even want to put it outside and do it again. I don't want to smell that again. I hated it. Okay, that's 3 of them. Let's see. What else can we do? Trying to think of another. Oh, I don't know. Let's do another number because I'll think about another thing again. Another quiz again. A trivia thing. Okay, let's see. I'm thinking of a number between, let's make this one a little, between 1 and 30. I've written it down. Let's go. Go. Between 1 and 30. Joy rhubarb powder can be used for like making pie. You can still flavor it. Oh gosh. Wow. That was, hold on. I have to go back and check this again. 1 and 30. Do I see it yet? I do not see it yet. I do not see it yet. I do not see it yet. Not yet. Man, when I said that, it just exploded. It's on slow mode, but then all of a sudden they just like came at once. So I had to go back and look. Not there yet. Question everything. What about blueberries? Okay, let's see. Katie H, you got 18. It's the first one I saw that was 18. Email me at thepurposefulpantry@gmail.com if you'd want the magnet or the ebook, and then give me your mailing address if you want a magnet. Katie H, right? Okay. Let's see. The next one, the last one. Ooh. This will be hard. This will be way too hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'd be way too hard. Yeah, that'd be too hard. No, let's try it. Let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. Let's see who is like an Uber fan and might know all these. I have 5 dehydrators. Can you name them all? Can you name each brand that I have? It's going to be hard. Mary, thanks so much. It's less about the sales, but more about getting that information to you guys because people have been asking for it for so long because they want a book that they can relate to. And I just wanted to give something that was useful, that you could write in, that you could make it your own, that you could expand. We didn't need another just generic dehydrating book. We needed something that was just different. So I wanted to put something different out there in the world. All right. Yeah, Suburban Hillbilly. I even had to sit and go, wait, which ones do I still have? Which ones do I not have? Yeah. No, Pudding Tang. I don't have a freeze dryer. That won't be one of them. Let's see. No, I don't have an Elite. Try it again, Laura. I don't have a Cuisinart either. Terry F, you are close. There are 2 more, but you're close. Becca, no, you cannot. It's what I do on my end to turn to slow mode because if I didn't, the answers and questions would go by so fast I couldn't keep up. So it's a way to help manage how fast things happen. So you just can't answer one right after the other. Let's see. That's good, Lorene. That's good because that gets really close. I don't have a Magic Mill and I don't have a Harvest Right. That's a freeze dryer. Let's see. Len, that would be good if I actually named them. I don't really have names for them. Surprisingly, I didn't name them. No, everybody keeps saying Harvest Right, but that's a freeze dryer. I don't own a freeze dryer. Nope, no Magic Mill. Only one Cosori. No Cuisinarts. No Magic Mills. Yeah, that one's probably way too hard. I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there. That won't be the last question. We'll do something else. I have. Oh, Linda, you are so close. You're missing one. Oh, no, Linda. Yeah, Linda, you got it because you do. You have it. Okay. Linda. Wow. Linda, I'm impressed. Really? But Linda, can you tell me what the 2 Nescos are? You were correct. You were technically correct. So you win. Linda Murphy, you win. But can you tell me what that second Nesco is? I'm curious. Okay, so what I have is a Cosori, which I use most of the time because it fits in my space where it has to fit. It's the only one that fits there well, and so I use it most of the time because most things I'm not doing like massive quantities. It's enough to get through that one machine, and then I can just reload as I need to. I have an Excalibur. I wish I could get it out and use it again, but it's just too big for the space. We used to have a dryer that I would set it on, but the dryer was square. That we had to get a new dryer last year, and the front of it curves down, and it's just a curve of enough that the Excalibur sets like this, and I'm just uncomfortable having it there. So I keep saying that I need to build a platform to go on it, but I haven't done it yet. So the Cosori stays there most of the time. I have a Sahara folding dehydrator, which I love and adore because it goes away. And then I can come back and then it can go away. And it's relatively quiet and it does a lot more than the Cosori does. It's about the same price as an Excalibur. Then I have a regular round Nesco, which is pretty much what I use when I do outside projects. Then it just goes outside because it can handle it. And then I have the new Nesco Snack Master Junior, which is this little tiny, cute little dehydrator that's got 3 trays in it, 3 or 4 trays. I don't remember now, but it's like this big. It's just tiny and it's great. It's perfect for like RVs and stuff. It's cute and I love it for the little things that it does. So, Linda, I appreciate it that you knew those questions because I was impressed. I didn't think anybody would do it. So, congratulations. Again, the Purposeful Pantry at gmail.com with your choice of book or magnet, and give me your mailing address. So, unless anybody has any questions, I want to go ahead and just, again, I cannot thank you guys enough for visiting, for watching my videos, for coming and talking to me and asking questions and giving me your tips, because your tips are awesome. And there are things that I've learned from you guys that I would have never thought to do on my own, and ways of using that food that I go, oh, I never thought about that. That's actually pretty awesome. I can't thank you enough for being part of this community. I'm honored that you would spend any of your time with me. I'm gobsmacked that you would care enough to do that. And I just appreciate you guys so much. So until I see you again next time, as I always say, happy dehydrating, and I'll see you next time.